Welcome to our presentation. My name, if I haven't already, is Deb Kutry. I'm one of the two instructors in the Architectural Commercial Design program here. The other instructor is Mark Cruiser. The class that's going to be presenting to you is the Architectural Drafting Studio class. It's a fourth semester class, so they've had 4 semesters of drafting and design and code and computers, plumbing, heating, electrical, structural, topography, all that good stuff. And graduation is soon. So 2 days for graduation. I just wanted to thank you again for giving us this opportunity to do a project like this. I've been teaching here for 11 years, and we've been able to do service learning projects like this every spring since I've been teaching. Some of the projects that we've done in the past, most recently, have been the Hagen Community Center. Before that was the Marion County Boys and Girls Club, some derivation of that name. We've done a lot of other churches, mostly dealing with accessibility issues or expansion issues. We should all be so lucky to have a church that has needs to expand and to add on. In the future, if you hear of a project that you think someone in the community is interested in doing and needs some design work, we prefer to have nonprofits, things like a church, to work on. But it really gives the students good experience. Part of what we did for this project was create some as-builts of your church. Here. So we went out on April 17th. It was a frosty Tuesday morning. And we had 2 teams. 2 people who were slower to pick which team they wanted to be on said, yeah, we'll take outside. And the other 2 were very quick to say, we'll work on the inside. It'll be okay. So went around the building, and this is a really good practice for our students to do. We don't get a lot of as-built measuring and as-built drawing in our curriculum. So when we have a project like this, honestly, even if you did have sets of plans, I wouldn't have told them, and we would have done it anyway. So it's a good checks and balances, but they really didn't. So trust me, it was okay. To get our heads around the stairs a little bit. And then after we spent the morning taking as-built measurements, we went back to the classroom. Now it had been 24 hours since we had done the as-built measurements. And usually if you're doing this in an office, the best thing to do is go back right away and start drawing things up. So even though it was 24 hours difference, it kind of, it was fairly fresh, but there's still some questions that they had. So, one student went through and set up the project, which entails setting up levels. And we don't need to get into this too much, but they use Revit Architecture, which is a 3D model-based software. There's a lot of levels in your church, the basements, the ceilings, the altar rail. So we ended up with a lot of different levels, which helped them to be able to create the project very quickly. They did an as-built drawing of your church. Maybe this is more for the mechanical design students than for the guests from First Lutheran Church. But they did it in a way that all of them could work on the same file. And it's called work sharing. It's kind of an advanced feature, and unless we have a need like this, we don't teach it. So again, thank you for letting us bring that into the curriculum. So one student took the topography, another student took the outside shell of the building, including the roof, just to get the walls down. Another student took the basement and filled that in. Another student took the main floor. So everybody had different areas of the church that they were working on, and then developed it, as the days went on. They took 3, perhaps, working days, maybe a 4th, to finish up the as-built drawings. And then they took, a copy of the drawings home with them for the weekend, and came back and shared 5 design options that they'd each thought about. How to make your church more accessible, and how to create a greeting space, a larger greeting space. So then they came back, they shared those with each other, and kind of sifted it down to 3 design options that they wanted to take forward. So those, the culmination of that is the drawings that are in front of you. So I want to thank you again for this. And I'll just say, because I think it's kind of interesting, they started this project 11 days ago, 11 class days ago. They had a field trip in there for 3 days, so they've been working pretty hard. I think they logged about 120 hours make sure that you have the sheets in front of you. Make sure you mark them up if you have questions. Follow through. They'll be directing you to look at the sheets, but make sure you follow through with that. Ask the questions as they come. And cell phones off. And I'll hand it over to Doug Parker.